Hey guys, welcome to this video. So in the previous video, we saw the overview of the project, what we're going to build. So right now we're going to first of all start by setting up the project and then explaining a bit of the project structure. So let's get into it. So first we're going to start by creating the project. I'm just going to call this recipe Cameroon. We'll just call it that for now. And there you go. Now that it's created, we can see it. Voila, so we have it created for us. We have the Android, iOS folders, Linux, Mac OS, web, and Windows. So we're working with just Android and iOS, so we're just going to work with that. Okay, so I already went ahead and cleaned it up. So I cleaned up the project and already set up some things. So you'll notice we have the core features gen folder. Even if you come to the pub spec, you see the different dependencies that we're going to use. So we're going to be using Block for the state management, Firebase core, Firebase messaging for notifications, Duo. So I advise you to just go ahead and look at all of these different packages. You can also read their documentations to see exactly how they work and what they do. So we're going to go more in depth as the project carries on. So we also went ahead and set up our assets already. So we have icons, images, fonts, animations, and we already set up our fonts. So we're using the Intel fonts. So if you come to this folder, you see our icons, our fonts, and animations that we're going to be using. So we're going to be using Lottie animation. So we're going to see more of that when we come across it. Then we also added some linting rules for our code. This is just so that we follow like some specific standards for clean code. So you can also go ahead and look at this. I'm not really going to dive too deep into these things, but you can look at it and read and learn more about it yourself. So in the gen folder, we have auto-generated assets. So there's a package called Flutter Gen that helps us to auto-generate our assets, so that way you don't need to be manually putting like the paths, because it's very easy to make a mistake in the path. So this one just generates a class and you can just call it like a variable. So inside the core folder, we have things like constants, like colors, sizes. This injectable, we're going to see more of it when we start actually using it. We're going to look at the route. So we're using auto route for our navigation. So we really set up like some configurations for it already. We're going to see more of that when we use it. So, but for a little bit of the explanation, so we have the configuration here where we replace like the name of like page or screen with route. So if you read more into the auto route documentation, you'll be able to figure out why we have this as it is. So I would advise you to do that yourself, and then all of the generated routes are generated in here. We have the network folder. This is where when we set up our API calls, we're going to use this. So we have our theme. We set up like our theme for the application, the typography, utils, errors, validations, general widgets, and so on. And we also have set up like the features folder. So the different features we're going to have on the app, like authentication, posting, profile, and all of that, we're going to have that in this features folder. So we went ahead and set up the splash screen in here. So if we also come to the main file, we'll see the different configurations. So we have a light theme and a dark theme. We have because we're using auto route, so we have to actually set like the router delegate, information parser, information provider in here. All of these things can also be seen in the documentation, so I also advise you to look into that as well. And that's it. That's the basic structure, the basic setup for the project. So thank you for watching, and we're going to carry on in the next video.